Good morning, fellow Toastmasters, friends. Today, I'm going to give you a presentation on this question. Have you ever faced a Goliath in your life? Well, I have. I'm going to present this to you today with 3 steps. Step 1, the whole concept and story of Goliath. Step 2, what happened to me. And step 3, the metamorphosis of what you do when you're faced with a Goliath. Number 1, I read in the book of Samuel, in the Bible, many stories. The Israelites had to face the Philistines. And the Philistines had this warrior, and there are different accounts. One says he was 6'9", another one says he was 9'9". No matter how you take this on, he was a big man. And every day he would go down on the battlefield, and the Israelites were on one side, and he would challenge them. Come out and fight me. He said, if you can win me and beat me, the Philistines will be your slaves. And if we defeat you, the Israelites will be our slaves. So this was a daunting challenge. This man was extremely vocal and powerful. Now, here comes the other side of the story. Here's David. If you do the research on David's life, David was a shepherd managing flocks of sheep. Yes, he was a shepherd. He would take care of his sheep and get them about. Now, during the process of David, what I understand, only by these readings, is he was a bit timid. But David was very good at one thing. David had this slingshot, and he practiced for 10 years, 15 years. And he could hit at 50 yards, he could knock off a small bottle, a glass bottle. He had learned a skill that he could pick off a bird at that distance with these slingshots. And so in his experience, a ferocious lion attacked his sheep and literally hurt one very badly. So it was David's mission. If you're going to save the flock, you've got to be able to conquer that lion. And he did. He did it with his slingshot. So however you take this story, David learned that skill. And so now we fast forward to the Israelites, and at the setting of this, the king Saul, who was supposed to be the leader of the Israelites, was to come down and face Goliath. And in thinking and knowing to look at all this, if you were the king and you had to look at this monster, you'd think, that's a tough job. So little David goes down, goes to the water, creek, and gets 5 different stones, they say. And so Goliath comes out, and David, with this slingshot, who could pick off a bird at 50 yards, hits the giant right between his eyes. Boom! He goes down. That's your story. David went out, took his sword, cut his head off, and took his head back as proof. So suddenly he becomes the hero, and great story. Now here is part 2, the Goliath I faced and what I did about it. Part 2 was this. I own a business. I've been very reasonably successful over 35, 40 years, long time. And some of my very critical interactive partners I worked with 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, betrayed me. We do business I'd been their face of sales for years. And I get this message on Friday, they're doing it without you. No, what is our relationship? What do we do? The power of all this was in my hands. The trust was on me. That's your responsibility, Jay. Don't let us down. Now, that's my story. I was quite upset. And everyone in this room will face Goliaths and problems. The hurricanes never stop if you're a human being. Now here's where this goes. When I got the news, the first emotional reaction was anger. And I went down this process of how dare you? And you can also try a little bit of why me, God? Well, you let me down. Where am I at now? How did this happen? Why would you betray me? And I spin a bit out of control for a day. And we look at retaliation. We look at how dare, where do I go from here? You have no idea how much business is in my hands right now. Do I redirect that to somebody else? How do I deal with this sabotage? Perceived sabotage, perceived, by the way, because that's all of us. We perceive these things and rev them all up. Okay? So here's part 3. Part 3 is the metamorphosis. Just like a caterpillar becomes a butterfly, I think the next step in the process was, and a friend of mine who's passed away always had a formula with 4 R's, which was instead of reacting, you rethink, recompose, and respond. And so I thought of that formula when this was all going down, and I thought, well, God, where are we at with this thing? And the answer is really this. When facing a Goliath or your big challenge, if you can just stop, go back inside and think, if I keep going down this path as angry as I am, it's only going to compound the problem. I'm not going to find a resolution. So you stop. And as one of my metaphysical mentors taught me years ago, instead of trying to set all these things right by my perception, maybe you have to back up and see it right. Don't set it right, see it right. And from that concept, I backed up. And I took the 50,000 foot elevation. If you can get out of yourself and have a look, see the whole picture, maybe you can stop your reactions and your anger and your wasted energy and on and on and on. And here's what comes out of it. One of my very close friends said to me, maybe your focus is wrong. Maybe you're stuck in a groove and you can't see the big picture. You know, it's like a little slap in the face, like, wake up. So out of that comes this whole concept, maybe your business model is wrong. Huh? Whoa. Bingo. Metamorphosis. I was focusing on some of the wrong things. So maybe when you get a Goliath and you're looking at this monster, you need to redirect your life. You need to rethink what is your focus. Instead of tail spinning into getting even and being angry, which is all wasted energy, it won't take you anywhere anyhow. So I woke up to that, and I changed my model. I said, oh God, thank you so much. Why was I blind? Why was I focused in the wrong direction? And the metamorphosis is sometimes you need to face a Goliath to redirect your life and your focus. That was my experience with facing Goliath. In closing, I learned something many years ago. I learned something called the locus of control. Big psychological teaching. And what am I talking about with the locus of control? The locus of control, if you look up this definition, is what is directing your life. Do you live from the outside with everyone's approval that you work with and live with? Or, locus of control, do you live from the inside? And the simple message is this. I wake up and I understand I am an expression, a divine expression of Almighty God. When you become aware of that, you're living from the inside and you become unoffendable. Unoffendable that these kind of Goliaths, they don't get at you.